morning, everyone. We chose more of a specific topic for 2050, a world without oil. So our thesis is, without a dependency on oil in the year 2050, the relationship between the US and the Middle East will be different in many ways. And as you can tell from this political cartoon, which I find to be fairly accurate, our national dependency on oil makes us intervene with oil-rich regions, which means we need a really big military to intervene, and a military so big that it's the biggest oil consumer in the nation, which just furthers our national dependence on oil. So America's obsession with oil really started in 1945 when FDR met with the founding monarch of Saudi Arabia. And FDR created a pact that said that basically the American military, mostly the Navy, will safeguard and protect all oil shipments from the Middle East. And it originally started with Saudi Arabia, but it eventually spread to protecting the whole Persian Gulf and all the export of oil in the world. And the main point was just to secure a constant, cheap supply of oil to all international markets. So America wasn't trying to bully Saudi Arabia into telling them, you need to give us oil forever, but they were just telling them that the whole world needs oil to grow, and we're all developing nations. And so this was a pretty bad promise to keep for the US. As you can see, the OPEC crude oil exports from 1990 have just been constant. It's a constant graph that just continues exponentially in production, and this is because of American protection of all trade routes of oil, because they have no competition, nobody's messing with their oil shipments. Next. And not to mention how much money we've been paying OPEC. OPEC is the major petroleum distributors of the Middle East. And you can see in their revenues are in the billions of dollars. And not only us, but the whole entire world, but most notably the US is the biggest oil consumer in the world. And we've just been giving them billions and billions of dollars for years and years and years. And so, where's our money gone? We've successfully cultivated many rich societies in the Middle East, such as Saudi Arabia. This is Dubai before and after. I mean, you see where that money goes? I mean, we're pouring our money into other countries when we could be putting our money into sustainable energy and keeping that money inside of our own social loop in our country.
Okay, so alternative energy is one thing we can do instead of using oil. Examples of alternative energy are biofuels, hydrogen, solar energy, geothermal, or nuclear energy. Biofuels are energy sources made from living or the waste that living things produce. Use of biofuels could reduce greenhouse gas emissions. One downfall of using biofuels is the process of growing the crops, making fertilizers and pesticides takes a lot of energy to get it to that point. Hydrogen is another alternative. Hydrogen, when used in a fuel cell, is an emissions-free alternative fuel that can be produced from diverse domestic energy sources. Example of its usage is fuel cell vehicles. They don't emit carbon dioxide. Yeah. Okay, solar energy is a good choice as an alternative. It's a renewable source. It's a constant supply of energy from the sun and the possible long-term solution to the alternative of fossil fuel burning. Wind energy is another good choice. It's generated from the sun just like the solar power, produces power at a vast rate, and it has the potential to produce 20 times more energy than what the world needs. So downfalls of both solar and wind energy is the current pricing to have these types of installations done. The prices have decreased 80% since the year 1980, but not enough to make people want to invest that type of money. I believe the current pricing to have it installed, like solar panels in your house, it's about $10,000. And if it's not a necessity at this moment, people aren't willing to invest, you can get a car instead and burn the fossil fuel. And the reliability of it all. So solar energy being the dominant in the future, according to the International Energy Agency, by the year 2050, solar energy would be the world's leading electricity source. By 2050, solar energy is expected to dominate 30% of all electric power generated worldwide. Alternative energy expense. By the year 2050, energy should be at an all-time low, the cost of energy. Well, not energy, solar energy. We would stop depleting fossil fuels. And investing in solar panels is a good investment in the long run. It's a one-time $10,000, and that can last you X amount of years for the long run. And like I said, general pricing of the solar panels is about $10,000, but there are rebates available through the government. I know that my grandparents got solar panels, and instead of paying off their solar panels with their rebate, they just spent it. So pay off your solar panels.
Hey everybody, I'm Zach. So I kind of looked at it as a military portion. So what would we safeguard next if we weren't safeguarding oil in the Middle East? And we would probably go for more territory in order to secure more assets, anything that could that we could benefit as a resource, or even just more areas so we can use for either like generating wind energy or solar energy. And I also said, for example, we could possibly use water in like ocean currents. Technology is slightly booming, but not enough to be of any use right now. Would the Middle East turn to a democracy? I kind of looked at this question and thought to myself, back in North and South Korea, when North and South Korea kind of split up during the Korean War, the reigning area, like China, supported North Korea, and because of that, they didn't become a democracy. And South Korea did become a democracy because we supported it. So, depending on if any other nations were to take over that area if we left, would definitely influence what kind of society it would have. So, do we need Saudi Arabia's oil? I mean, no, we don't. It's crazy, but we actually get most of our oil, over half of our oil comes from Canada. About 22 million barrels a day. And as you can see, that's almost over half of what we get from all of our other countries. And we also export a lot of oil too. And so if we stopped getting oil from Saudi Arabia, it would, since Asia already is the dominant consumer for oil, they would skyrocket in what they would be getting. Probably up to about 80% of the oil that the Middle East generates would go to Asia, Russia, China, Japan, South Korea. And that's all.